Today's episode is brought to you by Free Sleeve. The Free Sleeve is a revolutionary cold therapy compression device that remains soft and flexible when frozen. The Free Sleeve applies cold therapy to any aching muscles or joint, reducing pain, inflammation, and swelling. The Free Sleeve conforms to your body part you are trying to ice and doesn't leak or sweat. The Free Sleeve allows you to get your doctor-recommended cold therapy treatment without limiting your movement. The Free Sleeve is self-applicable, safe, and comfortable for all ages. So drop the straps, wraps, and ice packs. Just freeze it, sleeve it, and relieve it. Go ahead and head to freesleeve.com. Use promo code POWER25 for 25% off and free shipping on all domestic orders.
My stomach's trying to get on the air. It's like, yo, man, I got a lot to say.
Did you eat anything wild yesterday?
Nothing too crazy. I mean, kind of normal day. I had some sushi last night. Had some steak. And then my daughter made some of my mom's cookie bars.
Oh, wow.
And I did pretty good. I only ate I ate 3 of them.
Okay. That's nice.
I mean, normally I eat like half the tray. No, they're little squares. They're maybe a little smaller than the phone.
Okay, that's not bad.
Maybe like that.
Like
yeah.
Size of an outright bar.
Yeah, there you go.
There
Perfect.
You go.
You guys need to go to Fixin's. I don't know if I've told you about it yet. You guys know what it is?
Is this a barbecue place?
It's a soul food kitchen.
Yeah.
Really?
Dude. Yeah.
In like downtown Sac or something?
Downtown Sacramento. It's good.
Damn.
I got some oxtails, macaroni and cheese. There were these, what were those potatoes? They were these sweet potato type things. Oh man, collard greens. It was so good. It was so good.
It sounds amazing. I love stuff like that. Those places are dangerous. So the calories that you get,
Oh, yeah.
because of the fat and the sugar content, just gets to be. You're like, oh, I'll try to go get the tri-tip or something, but it's some sort of like brisket, and it's like got tons of stuff in it or whatever.
Yeah, I introduced Tom to this place in Elk Grove called Tea Garden. It's just Chinese food.
Okay.
It's mind blowing. Like, it's so damn good, but it's like Chinese food. Like, there's nothing you're gonna get there that's like, that's the better choice, right?
Right.
Teriyaki chicken.
I mean, it's really, really good stuff. I don't even know if they have that there, but like the orange chicken, it's insane.
Yeah.
Orange chicken doesn't make any sense, but it's so good.
It's delicious.
Right? Like, it doesn't seem like it should work, but it somehow works really well. Mm-hmm. Chinese food is like a mystery.
It really is. And you can never, never makes you full.
No.
It's great.
You just keep putting it down.
I think sometimes it has to do with how fast you eat stuff, Like, sushi goes down really quick.
It does.
The rice and fish combo, and it's, raw, or the rolls or something like that. Like, they go down pretty quick. And so I think you eat it in half the amount of time that you would eat like a steak. Mm-hmm. And so it makes sense that, you would be hungrier quicker.
So those all you can eat sushi places try to like fill each roll with more rice.
Yeah,
so you can get less fish and they can push you out of there.
Yeah, do they mess with you like that one, what was it, Brazilian barbecue place that we went to?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to give us chicken, like...
Who do you think we are? I love those places though, like those places, good. Korean barbecue, where they really try to start playing games when you're 2 hours in.
Like, you don't know who you're messing with. Yeah.
I saw something the other day from just like an old clip of George Carlin, the amazing comedian, and he said, the American like emblem or whatever, or logo or whatever, shouldn't be what's that weird noise?
That's the new studio.
Doing some work over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's like, it shouldn't be a bald eagle. He's like, it should be a bowl of macaroni and cheese with how fat everybody is and all the different, crappy food that we eat all the time. He was talking about all the buffets and just all the just crappy decisions people make all the time with their food.
I don't know. I think we find it prideful that we're the fattest country.
I know. It seems like we wear it with pride.
We do. Oh God. Yeah. The bald eagle, have you ever noticed how angry that bird looks though, bro?
It looks mad.
Because I saw this picture of somebody, I think they were rescuing a bald eagle. It's like a meme, and they put it in a blanket, and the eagle just looks so pissed. I don't know if we could find it, but the eagle just looks like it doesn't want to be anywhere. It looks angry. And that's our bird. But it's a wonderful bird. You don't want to fuck with those things.
I know.
I remember how upset I was when I realized he wasn't bald.
That's true, huh?
Yeah.
I was like,
actually,
didn't Nsima just find out? But
Nah, I never really thought about it. But I mean, yeah, of course it's not bald.
It's a little upsetting.
What does an actual bald eagle look like if you shave all its hair? Like, that's what I actually want to know.
That would look really scary.
Someone's probably done it.
Look up an owl without feathers.
terrifying.
God, I've
Yeah.
never seen this before.
It's fucking scary shit. Like a plucked owl or something like that. I forget what it is. It's like a little alien baby. You got to show us over here.
Yeah.
You're gonna have nightmares. This is worse than LeBron's feet.
What the fuck is that? That's an owl without.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
It loses all its like majesticness.
Yeah.
Because owls are.
There's a lot of
beautiful
owls out by me, and they kind of scare me.
Didn't you say they tried to pick at date? Like if you leave Daisy out there, they're gonna swoop her up.
They do circle around whenever she goes outside. I don't
So
think
wrong.
I don't think they have a chance to. I think they're just eyeballing her. They don't have a chance to be able to pick her up.
Funny.
Wow, it literally looks like a little alien.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a nightmare the other day. And
You're gonna have a new one now.
it was the day after I went to Fixin's. Okay, that's kind of weird. I'll keep it short. There's this, that comedian Andrew Schulz, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was having this nightmare, and I was going around holding something, but I see Andrew. He's all bruised up, and he has this big chicken, and he's like, "You want my chicken?" This is the night after Fixin's. This is the night after Fixin's. He's like, "Take the chicken." I'm like, "I don't want the chicken,
What are they
man."
putting their food over there?
For
I don't know. But he's like, it was like this big bruised chicken. It's like, "Just take the chicken." And he started chasing me, and then I woke up in a sweat. And I wanted to go to Fixin's again, but I was like, nah,
Yeah,
not after
you're
that
like,
dream. There's
yeah.
something wrong with chicken right now.
Yeah, you're like,
So,
that was a little weird.
That's a really
What'd you get
weird
at Fixin's?
fried chicken, oxtail. So the oxtail, actually, it comes with something else, but I literally only got the oxtails because they're really good.
An oxtail is literally just oxtail, right?
It literally is oxtail.
Yeah.
Yeah, the closest part to the.
Yeah, I've had it before, and I'm
It's
like,
good.
I'm like, what is it? They're like, it's oxtail. I was like, oh, okay.
It's just like fat and meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
really
and then mac and cheese, collard greens, and my girl had the salmon, or she had the catfish and something else. But
Trying to be all healthy. She's off the team.
yeah, she was like, "Oh yeah, let me get this small thing." Of
But then
collard
she
greens
ate
for
like
health."
3/4 of your stuff. Right?
Took a bunch of my mac and cheese.
I'm gonna have the.
Candied yams. That's what it's called.
Oh,
Candied yams,
yeah.
not sweet potatoes. Candied yams.
Mac and cheese at a soul food place though is
Yes.
it's on H&L. Like it's completely different.
It really is. By the way, people, we don't do this every day. It's a once in a while thing. We're all about health.
We'll see how much you fart on today's podcast.
That's
It
true.
was 2 days ago. I got all my farts out yesterday. Bro.
Oh, okay. A couple days.
Yeah.
You're safe.
A couple days ago. We got Ian Smith on the podcast.
Yeah.
And this should be really cool. Owns a gym out in New Jersey. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about him. But we all just think it's really cool that he's kept his facility open for as long as he possibly could. I think he did have to actually shut it down a couple of times. But, in the face of, in the time of this COVID-19 stuff that's been going on, these regulations, he's gone against the grain. And there's some people that, there's massive disparity in beliefs that people have about, wearing masks, not wearing masks, and are we having, super spreader workouts and super spreader gatherings or what have you. But I do think that what's undeniable is, I think a lot of people are fearful that there's like where do you draw the line? Somebody says, hey, please stand behind that line. You're like, okay, I got no problem with that. And they're like, okay, but no, you need to back up a little bit more. And no, you can't wear that shirt, and you can't wear your hat like that either, And so I think that's what people are worried about. And there's, an old saying that's been around forever, give me liberty or give me death. And some people are like, hey, I'm willing to fight this cause. In this case, luckily it's not fighting death, because we're not we don't always end up there, right? But this is more of a financial thing where he continues to get fined all the time, and I think he's been fined like upwards of $250,000 or something like that.
How is he handling that? It's a business, though.
Yeah, right.
Jeez. It's a small business, too. He owns a gym, right?
Yeah. I've had a lot of friends, a lot of friends that own gyms, and they, I tried to encourage them to keep their gyms open. What we have here at Super Training is just so much different. It's more private. And so while I was encouraging them to stay open, I also understood what they had to do. It actually makes the members really upset too. So a good question for Ian is like, what's the deal with the members? Like they don't, they're just, how are they handling that? I would imagine that the people that are going to train just aren't fearful of having any real repercussions of COVID, I guess. I'm not sure. But it is interesting. And so like with one of my friends, she owns a gym and she has a lot of older people in there. And so there's like a lot of concern about, yes, we want to keep the gym open, we want to keep people active, but what could potentially happen to some of these older folks that are training that are, 60, 70, 80 years old and stuff like that.
A lot of these gyms, the commercial ones, are doing things okay. Like there's a Planet Fitness right by my place. Always see lines of people out there since they have to schedule out their workouts. And then some other places you already know have rented out equipment, right? So if you rent out equipment to a few of your members, people are still able to work out. But it's crazy that the one thing or one of those things that helps keep people healthy and active and helps your immune system is also being closed. When there are definitely ways to do it in a way that if you're actually scared of COVID, people don't have to be all up on each other.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of the times are just different, right? A lot of children are home at school, and a lot of people have been laid off of work, and so people's scheduling and timing is just way different. I think with having kids at home, it can make things really tough for somebody to even get out to a gym if you have younger children. Hope if you have two parents and one could potentially stay home with the child, but it just makes everything kind of more complicated. Just the time that we're in, it makes everything more challenging. And part of this podcast and part of the whole reason for this podcast is to help encourage people to lean into fitness and to lean into some form of exercise and some type of diet. Just have some structure to your diet, and have some structure to your sleep patterns, and have some structure with some lifting. And we try to make it easier for everybody. But this situation certainly has John Cena just died. Just fell right over. Sorry, John. But this situation has made it, more difficult for everybody.
Yeah. Everyone's having to get creative. Even we got creative during quarantine, quote unquote. Like I was doing kettlebell workouts. Andrew was working out from home. You were running.
I forgot about that.
So
dang,
I still run here and there.
Yeah, no, it seems like that was, I don't know, forever ago. And it's just like, oh wow, that was all during quarantine. A lot's happened during this time.
Yeah, just a few months ago.
Yeah,
like two.
It seems like forever.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I was dying in Bodega Bay. You guys were killing me.
Oh yeah,
I think we were all dying a little bit.
Yeah, it was tough.
And today is Wednesday, and it's the day after the election. We don't have a president yet.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're getting there. I would imagine by the end of the day they'll have results of some sort, and then I guess we'll just go from there. But I don't know what will happen. Sound like Trump was already kind of planning on being a baby, being a sore loser about it if he does indeed actually lose.
Oh yeah, it's going to be, if he does lose, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens for the next week. But I was assuming because people were saying that the votes aren't going to be counted for like a week or something.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like that right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that they, like with Pennsylvania, they stopped counting. It's all really weird. Hey, this is the most important election of our times, but we're all going to go to sleep. Wait, hold on. Really? You're going to go to fucking bed? Are you kidding me?
Wait, was that what happened on TV?
You motherfuckers don't work. You don't work for shit. And then when we need you to work, talk to any of these politicians and talk to anybody that's in these offices and stuff. Like they work and they have time periods where they go in and they work a lot. Someone like Ryan Spencer, right? Like,
oh yeah. But
he'll also have a lot of times where he ain't doing much. But when we need you to do shit, we need you to do shit. It's like, imagine being a cop and you're like, breaking up a altercation, and then you kind of just push the people to the side and like, all right, I split them up. I'm gonna go home now. But you don't even fully take care of the situation all the way. You just leave it like halfway fixed. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like a teacher that took all summer off, and the first day of school, they're like, Gonna head out early, guys.
Right.
You guys will get figured out.
Finish that counting, man. Let's go.
What the fuck? Yeah, that's crazy.
Do you guys know the structure of it?
Sorry.
I don't know what you're about to say, but I was thinking that when I was watching last night. I'm like, I don't think anybody knows anything about voting.
No.
I certainly don't. Like the electoral college stuff, like a lot of it's over my head. I kind of get some of it. Mm-hmm. There's like bigger points from bigger states and so forth. But I'm like, they just really complicate the fuck out of it. Can't they just call it points? You know, like they kind of will say electoral votes.
Yeah.
But just call it points. Like this guy needs this amount of points to win, and this is how you're accumulating the points. When I watched like 4 hours of this shit with my family last night, and there was really no explanations of on anything. I mean, it's not like you got to take everyone back to 5th grade or whatever, but maybe you do. Like maybe everybody should know, or maybe when you go to vote, somebody should fucking explain it to you.
I'm just curious how they count up all these votes. Like, I mean, obviously they're probably using a machine of some sort, but like, how the hell are you counting up millions of votes so quickly? It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's cool, but it's kind of crazy.
It's completely chaotic, I'm sure.
And you don't have to use a number 2 pencil. So I don't know how these votes are legit.
I mean, is someone like taking the envelope and sticking it in, and multiple people doing that with multiple little machines? I'm really just like, it sounds stupid. But...
I mean, think about how bad people cheat on stuff, you know? And they tried to, on the news, they're trying to be like, oh, well, they're not going to, it's not going to be rigged. They try to like actually say that. And you're like, how can you honestly say that? Yeah. You could say, hey, like they made a lot of, they set up a lot of rules that's going to negate a lot of maybe the stuff that's happened in the past, but you can never really ensure anything because people are always going to, right? Like, why wouldn't they? They're kind of trying to lay it out as if like, hey, it's gonna be on the up and up. It's like probably never been on the up and up.
Heck no.
Did you hear about the guy that was going around burning the ballot boxes for the mail-in ballots? It was like a week and a half ago.
Wow.
He went around and burned a few of them. And like, I think it was a few thousand votes. So the people that like didn't get their votes, and apparently they're going to get a notification so they can vote again or some shit. Yeah, it's crazy.
But by then it'll be too late.
It's going to be too late. So I'm just like, how are you going to count those votes?
Yeah, that's really weird.
I have a lot of friends that never got, they never got like a ballot, and then I myself got 2 because I have 2 different locations, and it's like, they just like ask you like a lot of times they just kind of do the honor system. Like I mean, I think people are going to vote multiple times, and but that's probably been going on forever. And they probably are just like, hey, like, I don't know if they have ways of really blocking that. I think they claim they do, but I don't think they really do.
Yeah. How?
I mean, Derek Chauvin, the officer involved with George Floyd, he supposedly voted in Florida and voted like where he lived. Like he had like some voter fraud going on. So it's weird though too, because if you have voter fraud and you get caught X amount of years later,
what are they going to do? Well, you can still be thrown in jail probably for a little bit.
Right, but I know, but your vote was already.
Yeah, that's true. That's it.
I mean, I don't know if there's enough of that to really sway things that much. I don't know. Some of it's just weird too. Who decided that California is worth 55 and some of these other places are worth like 3 or 4? Who determines that shit?
Population size.
Yeah, I know it's population. Some of it's like, the population side is huge because like Alaska doesn't count for much, even though it's fucking gigantic, right? But like, even that's just, I don't know. It's all just kind of weird. Like, who's to say that California has that much value? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's what's funny is the Electoral College, and I probably got this wrong, but was put in place because way back forever ago, they actually thought that people weren't going to care about voting on a national level. They were only going to care about voting on a local level. So that's why, like, you know what, these idiots are not going to do it, so we got to help them out and do it for them, basically. So they get to vote for the voters. It's
all very complicated. It's kind of complicated because if you only left it up to just people, there's some things that aren't great about that because people can be swayed. Look how many people fall for those emails that you know, that they just need to put some money in their account to get more money back or whatever.
Oh man,
I mean,
I'm a Nigerian prince.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, people fall for stuff all the time, and they get duped by stuff. You know, when you have infomercials and stuff that do that, and there's all kinds of stuff like that goes on.
Oh, dude, anything as seen on TV, I'm in.
Right.
But you know what's so crazy with this election, man? This is the one election where I've started seeing way more occurrence of like election ads. Like I refresh YouTube consistently, and I think this is something that probably the Trump campaign is doing and the Biden campaign isn't doing as much. I get a Trump ad over and over and over again. Even as much as I refresh it, the top banner was a Trump ad, and I see those everywhere. It's
one thing that I am just blown away, and I don't know how it attracts certain YouTube channels or whatever, but like the bots or whatever, they get straight around YouTube's like algorithm or whatever
to comment.
Yes, and we have tons of them, and a lot of them just happen to, I think almost all of them are pro Trump, but I'm just like, dude, how did they learn how to get around getting caught by YouTube's, you know, like ad block or whatever? Because there's a lot, and I'm like, damn, they're like, can you guys show us how to do that so we can promote stuff? Because you guys are really good.
Yeah, man. Whoever I guess learns how to knock social media is going to be winning elections soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's happening right now, pretty much.
Yeah, and I was going to say it's with the times, you know, like maybe 4 years ago it just wasn't as prevalent. 8 years ago, definitely not.
Yeah, and I don't think these times are all that different from anything else. I just think the biggest difference is just social media.
Yeah,
you know, and everyone just kind of loses their mind, you know, based off of that, and then those people are posting stuff and kind of adding fuel to the fire. But a lot of these issues have been around. I mean, racial issues have been around, I think, for a while. You know, seems like they've been around for a while. A lot of the issues and a lot of the main topics, this COVID thing is a little different than stuff that we've had to deal with in the past. But for the most part, it just seems like mass hysteria because you just get bombarded with so much of that in the news of what this guy said and what this guy did, all the way to knowing, like, you know, what the president and the vice president's kids do and their laptop and all this shit. And you're just like, I don't care that much about any of that. I just want to know who can help the best with like running the country, and just try to make the best decision you possibly can with voting for someone that you know, can get behind, or someone that you can believe in. But I think that it's just, you know, things have been crazy for a long time. I mean, I remember every election that's come around since I've been alive, they're always talking about, you know, the importance of it, the magnitude of this one in particular.
Yeah. It's always this election is the most important election, but this election does seem like a very important election.
Right.
Hard to say it's not.
Well, it would also be hard to like predict, you know, like, for example, like when Abraham Lincoln, you know, got in office, like, you know, did they know that he was going to be able to abolish slavery? Yeah. You know, and then there's stuff even like about Abraham Lincoln that people don't know. Like Abraham Lincoln basically said if it kept the country unified, he would have kept slavery, you know, and if it divided it, he would get rid of it, you know, or you know. So I think it's just like, it's so hard to say like what, you know, whoever gets elected or reelected, it's hard to say what they're going to do or be able to do or how they'll impact any of us, really.
Yeah.
Hard to tell.
Do we know how old Trump and Biden are? Oh,
very.
I know Biden's 78.
They're both over 70. Yeah.
God dang.
78 and 74, I think, right? Or 75.
I think it was coming to you in the end. Trump's going to win. We're going to take back over this fucking country.
What are you listening to?
I'm not sure.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
How are you?
Doing well.
We picked up some audio from whatever you guys were listening to.
Sorry. The Facebook ran on Frank's part there.
That was fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's show. We appreciate it. I think a lot of people around the country share the same idea as myself and some others, that, you know, what you're doing is very admirable, and it's got to be tough, you know, to stick in there as a business owner. But I kind of wanted to kick things off with, you know, this quote, "Give me liberty or give me death." What are some of your thoughts on that? And why have you resisted a lot of the COVID-19 restrictions?
Give me liberty and give me death is kind of what we're living by at this point. When Frank and I decided that we were going to reopen, we did so because we were looking around and we were seeing some pretty serious violations of our individual liberties. And it didn't really matter who you were, where you came from, what you did for a living. All of the bulk of Americans, the middle class, just kind of seemed to be getting trampled on. So that's, we did it through the vehicle of the gym, but it wasn't about saving our gym. Primarily, it was about standing up for our rights as individuals. And that's what the fight has been about, and that's what it continues to be about. And that's kind of what gives us the strength to get through it, because it has not been fun. It's we have good days, but we have a lot more bad days than we have good. That's kind of what keeps us on track, is that this is bigger than us. And, the fight kind of came to us, but it's our fight now. And it's something that we're as stressed out as it makes us, and as hard as it's been on not only us, but our families. It's something that I think that we're both very proud of.
And it hasn't been from day one. It wasn't about just opening up a gym, and that's what a lot of people misunderstand our fight. They've taken away our rights, but on top of that, our job at this point is to take away the powers of the governors. Actually, they have overstepped their powers and gubernatorial executive orders. They do not have the right to shut us down, those type of things. And we're not fighting to open up our gym, because in case you haven't figured out one out, we're going to open up no matter what. But we're fighting so they can't shut anything down again. Whether it's the local bar, the salon, every other gym, everything, because they just want to destroy the infrastructure of what's the backbone of America, and that's the hardworking man, because they want to create a socialist economy. And we figured out early, just by paying attention to everything, that it was political. It's like initially when they did everything, you think, okay, well, you got to give them a break, because we've never dealt with a pandemic like this before. So they have to, err on the side of caution as far as that goes. But when 11 days into something, when they asked us for 14 days, they passed a $2.6 trillion stimulus package, which gives people $600 a week for free to stay at home. I at that moment, we knew it was political. You don't give people free money for 16 weeks for a virus that actually has a 2-week incubation period. It's that simple, and that's been our fight from day one. It's just like we need to open up. We need to get going back with our lives and let people realize that it's safe. As long as you do the right things, and that small business can do better than big box. They pick and choose who the winners and losers were, which went directly against all of our constitutional rights. They don't have the right to do that. They let all the big boxes be open, and they shut down everybody else, and then they expect us to just sit there and be good little boys and girls. And we refuse to be that.
From a mental perspective, I'm sure that it's been worth it, even though it's been very stressful on you guys. And you mentioned the impact that it's had on your families and stuff like that, but the impact that it's having on your members, and then the impact that it's having nationally and maybe even internationally. That has to feel really good. But what has been some of the feedback from some of the people that do work out at your gym, from a mental perspective, them being able to lift through it, them being able to lift through these times have probably been huge for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure both you guys can identify with the fact that, as much as we all go in the gym and we like to bang the weights around, and it is about being physically strong and stuff like that, that there's an incredible amount of benefits for the mind and the kind of soul that you get from lifting. And there's a story I tell almost anybody who asks that question is, we have a gym full of regular people. We have a gym full of military, active and veterans. We have war vets. We have a lot of police, fire, first responders. We're right pinned in between some of the biggest hospitals in the country. We have nurses who work in critical care units, all people who just need an outlet and need a place where they can come and just kind of forget about all the stresses of life and feel better about themselves. And I tell the story of a guy named Joe Logue. He's one of me and Frank's favorite members. And,
sounds like an East Coast name.
Joe Logue is a badass dude. He's somebody that you're very thankful that he is on the same team as you. He's a decorated Marine, 2 Purple Hearts. He was blown up twice, couldn't walk for well over a year. The guy is one of the most genuinely nice and kind people I know, but he has been through a lot and he has seen and done a lot. And he comes in here every day at about 7:00 and he absolutely crushes himself. He doesn't walk out of here, dry ever. His sweatpants change color. They go from light gray to dark gray every time he leaves. And he leaves every single day at, about an hour and a half later. And he goes home and he can be a father to his children and he can be a husband to his wife. And without that, he can't. And one of the days that we reopened, he was one of the first people in line. And he walked up to me and Frank, and I'll never forget it. And, when we reopened, there was all the chaos of reopening, the cameras everywhere. And, he looked at me and Frank and he said, "You saved my life. Thank you." And this is a man that should never have to thank anybody for anything.
Very humbling.
It's that kind of stuff. And that's just one story of many. But that was our biggest thing is people were so critical early on, like, "Oh, you guys just want to open your gym so you can get big muscles." And it's like, if that's what you think that this is about, then you've clearly never worked out in your life and you've clearly never experienced the benefits of working out. That's a huge part of it. And people thank us all the time for that. And it doesn't have to be some highly decorated Marine. A lot of times it's just regular people who just need to deal with life and just need to get something out. And this is where they do it. So we're happy and we're honored to provide that service for people.
And we're doing it in a safe way. Like through midnight last night, we have 64,768 people who have walked through the door since June 16th, and we don't have a single case of COVID. And I guarantee you, Governor Murphy has contact tracers just on this place because he wants to link a COVID positive case to us. They got 64,768 people have walked through our doors since June 16th and not a single COVID positive case. And we were even willing to test everybody that came through. We actually have 6,250 rapid COVID antibody blood tests that actually you'll know within 10 minutes whether you had the virus or have the virus. And the Board of Health won't let us implement them because we're not a healthcare facility. But yet the Board of Health actually has control over us because of the pandemic, because of stupid laws. And it's absolutely insane. My wife's a nurse and is willing to implement them, and they said no. And we're willing to test everyone so they'll know whether they have it right now or had it for free. And it's a joke, but it's very humbling, to see that people come through here every day. We've been averaging, over 600 people every single day, 7 days a week, walking through the door from 5 in the morning till 11 at night, 12 at night, on a few nights. And it's just, to see everybody in here, we're getting fined $15,497.76 every day because we won't implement masks. It's Governor Murphy and himself, his words in Executive Order 187 says that they don't recommend wearing masks during high impact aerobic or anaerobic activities or wearing a mask during time when actually your mask can become wet or damp. And that's what the fuck happens in a gym. I don't fucking understand. And we're getting fined $15,497.70 every day because we won't implement that. But the people are still walking through the door. It's the most normal place that we know on earth, as far as that goes. And there are a few people who choose to wear the mask because they feel that they're protecting their loved ones at home or something like that. And they're all welcome. It's just like it's a fantastic community where it's brought everybody together stronger. The family we had ahead of time it's just gotten bigger and bigger and stronger.
There's so many things I want to ask you guys, but I think the first thing is the $15,487 $15,487 a day.
$87.76.
76 cents. Well, didn't it used to be just 2,000? Like why is it now 15,000? Am I wrong?
2,000 was the summonses.
So that fine originated out of a contempt of court charge that we were found guilty of. That's kind of been what Governor Murphy has used to sink his teeth into us and kind of take us out. And what's crazy about that is the fine isn't based on anything logical. Like it's not as if they looked at our sales or they looked at our tax refunds and, said, hey, they're operating against governor's orders. Let's hit them for 50% or something. In the contempt of court motion, the attorney general states that the fine has to be that much because of our GoFundMe account, which now it's surpassed it greatly. So
they called it a war chest.
So that GoFundMe is earmarked as legal defense money. So if I go out and buy a new truck with that money, I'm going to jail. So it's legal defense money that we've been paying our lawyers with, and that we've been just kind of using to stay open. We have all these weird costs that come out of nowhere. We have to upgrade our facility with cleaning products and stuff like that. And they called it a war chest, and said that if they do not drain that account, then they will not be able to shut us down. But what's really alarming about that is we've openly said, hey, this money is designated as legal defense money. And they're saying, let's take it, which is a very, very clear attempt to interfere with our right to counsel, which is a major violation. But the judge seemed like that was okay.
And they're trying to get away with it because part of our wording is that that money's for our legal defense and for monies to actually help us stay open. And so they're interpreting to stay open, since they give you the fines, they can take the money because in order to stay open, you got to pay your fines. So they're using that justification, and how they always use different words when you're dealing with legal jargon and stuff like that.
What would happen if you just paid the fine? Like what would happen if you just paid it every day? Let's just hypothetically say.
We'd have nothing left.
Yeah. We'd be out of money by now. But they have started to try to collect that. There's a letter that I received in the mail that was sent out. Oddly enough, it was only sent out to my PayPal account. It wasn't sent to our bank accounts, but they're trying to hold not only the business, but they're trying to pierce through the LLC and hold Frank and I personally responsible for the money. They have sent financial subpoenas to myself, to Frank, to Frank's wife. Actually, they financially subpoenaed my mother, looking for information, and they basically said that they wanted the money paid in full by October 22nd, and that if it wasn't, it would start collecting interest, and it has. So, and
they also tried to bribe us on October 6th. Judge Lugie, who is, that's Murphy's lapdog, and the attorney general, called our lawyers and said that if Ian or I would sign a legal certificate affidavit saying that we would actually implement masks for all of our members, that they would stop fining us. And we refused. Let's just say we politely refused that one.
Is anybody filming any of this? I know that you guys post a lot via social media, but does anyone have an intention of doing a documentary type of thing on what you guys have going on?
We've had a couple different people come in and kind of document the journey along the way. Nobody kind of following it all the way through. It's kind of been bits and pieces and parts of other documentaries. We've had at one point we had a photographer pretty much living with us. And he was here all the time, but we're kind of at this point where we're out of the the action.
But there is being a book being written.
Yeah, there's a book being written.
Different books.
So we've tried to cover as much as possible, and that's really we do utilize social media a lot because that has been our saving grace through all of this, has been that people really care what's going on. So that we knew we were going to get punched in the face for doing this. And we did so willingly, but we did so out in the eyes of the public, so that when this is all said and done, they're going to have to answer for the way that they've reacted to the situation, because when we opened up, we didn't open up quietly. We didn't sneak about it. We announced it, and we also put forth very publicly our safety protocol. And the message was, hey, there's no plan in place to reopen, and it's been 2 months. So here's our plan. And we really hoped that government would step in and say, hey, hang on a second. Let's take a look at this. Let's talk about it. And they still never have. So eventually they're going to have to answer for why they ran right to punitive measures instead of doing what government is supposed to do, and that's work for and with the people. It's been working against us from day one, and eventually they're going to have to answer that.
And we had a scientist come in who actually did an efficacy study of our protocol and the follow through of the protocol with our members. And at the end of the study, the scientists and doctors actually, with their lawyers, actually wrote up a report and said that actually our protocol was basically the best protocol of any in the entire country, in any industry, and that we didn't even have a necessity for masks, as far as that goes. And the funny part about the mask thing is in New Jersey, I don't know where you guys are, all the executive orders here, they don't require masks. They actually mandate cloth facial coverings, which according to the CDC is even worse because cloth facial coverings have zero efficacy, and when they become wet or damp, it's like waterboarding yourself. So it's actually bad for you, and it grows bacteria much more efficiently and effectively, and thus causing a lot of the bacteria, pneumonia, and things that the people are actually dying of instead of actually dying of COVID. It's just they inflate their numbers, saying that 226,000 people have died in the United States of COVID, when the CDC has updated those numbers, and 131,000 of them are proven that they actually died from. They all had, and the doctors used the actual words that all of them died of things that did not need any help from COVID, including, and then on top of that, another 51,000 died of heart attacks while having COVID. 10,000 people died that were in hospice. 71,000 died of bacterial pneumonia and influenza. But you don't see any of those numbers because they were COVID, because of the CARES Act that was passed by Congress in March. There's 20% actual bonus that actually the doctors and hospitals get by actually putting COVID as just as a diagnosis that you have it, and as COVID as a death cause. It's absolutely insane. They've always said follow the money. Well, you follow the money. That's why everybody's got COVID. As far as that goes, it's absolutely insanity. And I care about it. I don't know if you guys know the whole story. My mom died of COVID. My mother went in a hospital with diverticulitis and was COVID negative on April 19th, and she was healthy enough to leave 8 days later, but she couldn't walk because she has a weak right leg, and they sent her to rehab. And that was on April 27th. May 1st, they called us and said we're going to test her, and I said fine. She was just negative in the hospital, and then on May 3rd she was diagnosed as, she was COVID positive, the only one in the facility with it, and she died the day after we opened up. So it's like, I do take it seriously, but, the fact of the matter is we know that healthy people aren't dying. Protect the old, protect the weak, and, those that are compromised, and get on with their life.
What I want to ask you guys is, obviously it's not just about saving the money, because you mentioned that on October 6th, right? They try to bribe you guys saying, if everyone wears masks, we won't fine you anymore. My question is, why didn't you just take that? I mean, I know I get why you don't want people to wear masks, but that would have saved, it seems like, a crazy amount of money.
We lose all credibility at that point, because then this governor is a tyrannical dictator. And if we give in to that, he's going to come right out and say, first of all, I believe that he would use it against us, because we would have to sign a legal document. He's going to send somebody in here, and they're going to show that we're not actually implementing it. And they're going to put criminal charges against whichever one of us is willing to sign it. I don't want him to sign it. I'm not going to sign it. But on top of that, then they're going to go out there and say, hey, these are the only guys that had the balls to stand up. We got them to comply. Now you need to.
It's one of those things where
no way.
We took up the fight, and it has grown into something I think much bigger than anybody thought that it would. But it's about standing our ground. And if you give, what we've learned and what we've seen from other people is that when you give these people an inch, they will take much, much more. And it's a matter of character and principle for Frank and I. We stood up and we stand very confidently on our convictions that what we're doing is in the interest of every American, to protect their civil liberties, to just do the right fucking thing. And that would feel like a surrender to us. And honestly, I'd rather die on this hill than wave even the white flag for a second.
You guys have children?
I do. I have 2 of my own and 3 stepchildren.
Yeah, I think this is an amazing example to your children. I think this is a legacy. Like, I think what you guys are doing is insanely heroic. I know some people are, or maybe a lot of people are, against what you guys are doing, but I think quite the opposite. I think it's very heroic, and what a great lesson for your children to learn, and other family members to learn. Hey, you don't get pushed around by people. And I think even to a lesser extent, in the workplace, I see a lot of people get pushed around a lot, and they say, I have to immediately respond to a text message from work. I have to immediately respond to these emails. I have to, and the boss treats me like shit. He calls me up every other day and yells at me, and the job is super stressful. It's like, you don't have to be at that job. You can probably select another job. You can also stand up for yourself and say, hey, look, I don't like being treated that way. This is not for me. I'm going to move on. So I think this carries out into every single thing that you do, even in relationships. Somebody mistreats you in a relationship, you say, hey, that doesn't work for me. I can't be treated that way. I'm more this way. And you got to, kind of explain yourself. But I think that what you guys are doing is really admirable and just amazing because of all the pressure, that's now on you guys. Was it difficult to find out like who the fuck's in charge of stuff? I started kind of poking around a little bit to try to figure out who was in charge, and each person passed the buck off to somebody else. I was like, okay, I heard that this person at the health department is in charge of this, so I'd love to communicate with them to kind of get a little bit better idea of what's going on, because a lot of my friends' businesses were being shut down. And then they were like, oh, no, you need to talk to this person. And like, oh, no, you have to go to this board meeting. For you guys, was it tough to like figure out who the hell is in charge and who do we communicate with?
Very much so, especially before we reopened. We never stopped working. That's just kind of who we are. We built this gym from the pile of crap it was when we bought it to what it was. Right, we only owned the gym for 8 months before COVID. We bought it in June of 2019. It was a dumpster fire of a gym, and we pretty much tripled the daily visitors, in 8 months. We were doing fantastic, and the shutdown came, and we weren't going to stop working because we knew immediately that no matter what happened in 14 days, that we were going to be in a very different business environment. So we were here already thinking about, okay, we got to move machines, we got to do this, we got to do that. And I was in here working out the day after the shutdown. And I think Frank was, tinkering around the front, and a police officer walked in and said that I was not allowed to be using the facility for any purposes, and that somebody had taken a picture through the window and reported it to the health department, and they threatened us with a $50,000 fine for me working out in our facility that we bought and paid for. And Frank tried right away to kind of get an answer to it, and it was the same thing. It was, he called the county health department, the state health department, and every time it's somebody's, I don't know, try calling this person. But very quickly, once we opened, we knew where all of the BS was coming from, and it comes from the top levels. It comes from the governor or the mayor in a lot of cases in some of these bigger cities. So before we opened, it was very difficult to understand where it was coming from. Once we opened, it was very clear that all of the orders are coming directly from Governor Murphy. Where they come from beyond that, one can only speculate. But you see quite a few of these governors, Newsom in California, Gretchen, whatever her name is, in Michigan, Wolf in Pennsylvania, Cuomo. They all seem to be following, kind of in lockstep, some sort of program. So I'm sure that these measures are coming from somewhere beyond there.
And they keep using the fallback of there's an Emergency Health Protection Act, which in itself is unconstitutional. And like in our case with being a gym, normally the gym, the Board of Health has no jurisdiction over gyms. They have jurisdiction over healthcare facilities and restaurants. But because of the Emergency Health Powers Act, they automatically, because they classify it as a pandemic, they give the Board of Health control over us. In fact, the one time that they came in here and did an evaluation on us, they actually they filled out their report on a retail food company's letterhead.
They don't even have a form for it.
So when every time we tried to find out what was going on, because when we originally got shut down on May 22nd, like after we had opened up, they changed the locks on our doors. It's like, wow. and it's like they literally with no rhyme or reason, they never stepped foot in here, and we were told that they actually classified it as they put a letter of embargo on our door saying that actually you could get COVID by walking in here. The rest of the strip mall was fine, but we were hazardous for COVID as far as that goes, with never stepping foot in the door, never doing an evaluation, a study or anything. And, before we opened up, we tried to communicate with everybody. We reached out to the governor. We reached out to the emergency response team, which is actually Colonel Callahan, who's the superintendent of state police, is in charge of that. We reached out to the Board of Health, Judas Persa Kelly, for the state. We reached out to the Board of Health for that. And we had no answers from anybody. So it's like they didn't want. We put a 15-step protocol in place that we actually started on. We put it in on the media on May 11th when we opened up May 18th, and that's the protocol that the scientists actually used when they came in here in the beginning of August and actually did an efficacy study. And they were shocked. Their exact words were, did you guys just start this protocol this week? I'm like, no, we started this May 11th. And then where'd you learn all this stuff? I said, we did our homework. It was just, we went on the CDC websites, and while everybody else was sitting around complaining, and bitching that they weren't allowed to be able to make money, we took the time to actually educate ourselves and be CDC compliant. We changed our gym around, and we consulted with outside companies. And one of the companies we consulted that helped us the most is actually a company that was responsible for actually, cleaning, disinfecting the White House. And I'm not talking about the one that makes hoagies. It's the one where the president of the United States lives in. So we went far above and beyond everything,
and we did that on purpose.
And because we knew that we were going to be looked at, in a way that, okay, why are these guys doing this? These guys are trying to kill people. It's like, we're murderers, and that's the way they looked at us. And we wanted to prove that not only can small business do it the same as big business, we can do it a whole lot better because we care about everybody, because we know everybody that's walking through the door. They care about us. We care about them. We're going to take better place. When you walk into a Walmart, a Home Depot, a Wawa, it's like whatever your local, supermarket is, nobody gives a damn. They pardon my French, but they finger fuck everything, put it back down. Nobody's walking back behind them, cleaning it up, sanitizing everything like that. And it's a big part of it. It's insulting to me for you to tell me that I can't do it better than them. It's just like, tell me I gotta, all they have to do is wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart and take our money and give it, the lobbyists go and give it to the politicians. Bullshit. It's just like, close the big box down, open up all the little guys, let the little guys take care of each other, and you solve the whole problem. But they don't want to hear that and see that because that's not part of their agenda. And it's just like, and it was political from the get-go, and it still is. It's not about a virus. I mean, think about it. Joe Biden has said if he becomes president, he's going to shut the country down. Now, think about the logic behind that. If this was about a virus, and if it was ever about a virus, okay, if Joe Biden becomes president, he won't become president until the third week of January, okay? That means he's already planning on shutting the country down. And he says that's how he'll control COVID. COVID don't fucking exist right now. It's just like, it's not about COVID. If you're telling me you're going to shut me down 11 weeks from now, it's all about politics, control, and fear mongering. And as Ian has said it best, they keep pumping fear into everybody instead of pumping solutions. And it's just like, and that's the easiest, description of it. That's all they keep doing is pumping fear into everybody, and there's no solutions.
What are the precautions and what are the protocols that you guys have been following? And then second on that is, do you guys sometimes feel like you're maybe infringing on somebody's rights because you got to tell them what to do?
So safety protocol starts at the door. As soon as you walk in, there is a completely touchless system to check in. You step in front of a biometric scanner that takes your temperature. Stand about a foot away from it. It reads your temperature, tells you what it is. Green light flashes that you're good to go. we have a box and two boxes of pens, a box for clean pens and a box for dirty pens. You grab a clean one and you fill out a quick little health questionnaire. Just has a couple questions on it. Have you been in contact with anybody? Have you been out of the country? Are you having any symptoms? Have you had any symptoms? What's the date? What's the time? What's your temperature? That's part of our contact tracing system, so that at any point we know we can go back any day and we can say who was in the gym, when they checked in, that they certified that they were okay, what their temperature was, all that, just in case we ever do have a case that we can report and we can warn people. Once you're done, toss your pen in the dirty one. We have a shelf right next to it. It's got individual spray bottles. Every single person who walks into the gym has their own spray bottle with a hydroxide or a peroxide-based cleaner that is shown to kill coronavirus on surfaces in 45 seconds. So you take your own spray bottle. The entire gym has been separated so that everything is 6 feet apart. There's markings on the ground in open areas. So when you're kind of working sort of, with some free weights and some dumbbells, you know that, hey, this is 6 feet away from the next person. Everybody is responsible for spraying and wiping things down as they go. There are no reusable towels in the facility. We have paper towels everywhere. We have foggers and misters that we come through on a daily basis and spray down high traffic area. We have people on the floor all the time kind of going around making sure that social distancing is being respected. Obviously, you can't always do it. If somebody needs a spot, there's exceptions. We have a UV air scrubber, which is a mobile decontamination unit. So it pulls in about 10,000 cubic square feet of air every minute and circulates it through a UV chamber that cleans the air with a UV light. So it's a chemical-free clean, leaves it 99.9% bacteria and virus-free. That runs around the clock. We have an HVAC system with the proper filters running around the clock. We have proper ventilation. We have 25-foot ceilings. In a lot of cases, we do keep our doors open to increase the ventilation. We closed down our water fountain. So that's sort of a high traffic area that we weren't sure how to handle. So that's sort of off limits for now. We had our showers closed down. Am I missing anything?
That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
It's enough. That's more than everybody else is doing.
I wish we had a clap track.
We purposely did that because we knew that they were going to come after us for being open. And we wanted it to be absurd that they would say, even though you're doing all of these things, you're still a threat to the community. And over here, Walmart, where you can grab a Lysol wipe and slap a $5 Etsy mask on your face, is safe. We wanted them to do that because we knew that they were going to say, hey, you can't open anyway. And it just highlights the inconsistency and the hypocrisy of it all. You've let these big box stores stay open with very, very, very lax measures that pretty much from the get-go weren't even really enforced that hard. I mean, these places, maybe for the first 3 weeks, they were enforcing, only a certain amount of people in at a time. But very quickly, those measures went away. Half the time you go into a Walmart, that little thing that holds the Lysol wipes is empty fucking anyway. And we went above and beyond, because we care and we don't want anybody to get COVID and we don't want anybody to get sick, but we knew that they were going to try to shut us down. And we wanted it to be as stupid as possible. And
when you talk about violating people's rights by asking them to do certain things, we've had a few people that have come in and not want to get their temperatures taken and stuff like that. And then we just don't allow them in. And we had one couple in particular that came in and they wanted to specifically talk to Ian and I. And it turns out they were people who were actually fighting against Governor Murphy at the same time. But my exact reasoning to them is they said, well, that's against my, you're violating my rights. I said, well, then you don't have to come in as far as that goes. I said, and they're like, well, why are you so serious about it? And I looked at it this way, and I literally said, I don't know that you're not here for Governor Murphy. Plain and simple. I don't know that 5 minutes from now that I'm going to let you in my door and they're going to send in contact tracers. They're going to send somebody from the Board of Health or from Governor Murphy's office, and they're going to walk in and they're going to ask to see the papers for every single person that's in the door. And if anybody's in that door that I don't have paperwork on, they're going to say you've been doing this whole time. So if you're not willing to actually get your temperature taken and fill out the paperwork, then get the fuck out. Plain and simple, because I've risked everything I've worked my entire life for. The only thing anybody's ever given me is a hard time. Plain and simple. You know, it's like I've earned, and if you're going to take it away from me, I'm going down fighting like a motherfucker. You know, plain and simple. And it's like that's what we look at it, and that's how I'll talk to people as far as that goes. If you do not want to get your temperature taken, you do not want to fill out the paperwork, you can go to another gym and wear your mask. You came to us, we didn't come to you. We're not advertising this. We're not soliciting their business. They're coming to us because we're the best at what we do, and we're actually the safest at the same time. So you either follow our guidelines or get the fuck out. And we haven't had many problems with that.
It's not surprising now after all this that nobody that comes to your gym has contracted the virus. It sounds like you guys have the safest place on earth. Like, it sounds amazing.
One of them.
Yeah, here in California, once they kind of open gyms back up again. Sorry about my camera flickering. We were allowed to have like 10% capacity at certain points or something. I don't even know what it is now. Did you guys have to? Yeah, did you guys have to do anything like that where you had to limit the amount of members that were coming in?
We did. We're very fortunate. We have a fairly large facility. We're somewhere around between 14 and 15,000 square feet. So a lot of people misunderstood the when they say 10% or 25%. That goes off of International Fire Code, so that it actually does allow for more people than you think. You know, if our facility was at 50% capacity, our facility is like 140 people at one time.
Whoa.
You know, so 20% or 25% is what we started with, and that gives us room for about 75 people, not including staff. So we've never had an issue with that. Again, it's one of these restrictions. All of these restrictions are very arbitrary, and they're very, you know, a lot of them don't make a lot of sense. But that was one that didn't necessarily affect us too poorly, because it still shouldn't be there. You know, all of these restrictions are very oppressive, and they will harm your business. But that was one of the least harmful things that we had to deal with. And we've been able to abide by that pretty well. I mean, if there was 140 people in the gym, probably 40 of them would leave, because people would be swinging from the rafters. So, you know, that's been okay for us. But yes, we do abide by that as well.
Have either one of you tried to arrange to actually like meet in person, or have you met in person, the mayor or the governor? And like, what has your experience been with that?
We have tried everything we could to get a face-to-face meeting with anybody who was an elected official, and they're all fucking cowards. Nobody. Not a single one of them has reached out to us or has, you know, come to have a meeting with us. It is absolutely insane. Yeah, you know, it's like we're actually, all of our people, we just found out last week that all of our summonses, we have approximately 60 summonses between the two of us, and we have approximately 10 members who got summonses for actually coming in to the gym and leaving. They got summonses when they were leaving, those type of things. We found out last week that they are not offering any of us, for any of our summons or any of our members who got summons, any plea bargain offers or anything like that. And we were actually in the process of suing the township. We put a lawsuit against them because they illegally took our business license away, which is, I don't know if you guys are aware of the story, that our members don't even pay anything. Our members haven't paid anything since April 1st.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't about the money.
Our members haven't paid anything, and they took our business license away, thinking that was going to shut us down. You know, it's like I laugh. Who needs a stinking business license? You know, it's like
we survive off of donations and T-shirt sales.
And it's insane. You know, it's like people think this is all about money. You know, it's like, you know, it's not about that. It's about the principle of it. And with the fact that they are not even offering a plea bargain to any of the summonses that any of our members got. Like, if somebody got a violation of an executive order on day one, day two, when they got them, it was up to $1,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. which is a joke because these executive orders for gubernatorial officials aren't even laws. They're mandatory requests and they're not supposed to affect the citizens. Executive orders are supposed to be for the employees of the actual government. And nobody's actually ever read those words. And that's why they hate us, because that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting to take those powers away from the governors because they don't have them. They become dictators and nobody's ever questioned them, because every other time that there's been an executive order that was put into place, they didn't last long enough for somebody to care enough. It's just, we're 8 months now, it's when different things have happened, it's just, Hurricane Sandy around here, it's just, you get the swine flu and 9/11, they put an executive order in place and then they disappear so quickly, nobody cares. Nobody cares to question, do they even have the authority to do that? And actually the definition, if you look up what a gubernatorial executive order is for the last 115 years, it's not even for the citizens, it's for the employees. So it's, where the hell do they have the right to do these things? And we're the only two, and there's a guy, Brian Brindisi, who's about an hour and a half away from here, who opened up a diner actually on June 1st. He's going through a lot of the similar things that we are. And, it's like, we're the only ones in a state that has 8.88 million people that, that are willing to actually fight this. And we kind of understand a little bit why, because it's tough. It's just, we got very lucky. We went to the police ahead of time and told them what we were going to do. And they said they would only bother us if they were told by the authorities ahead. And we were naive to think that, we were hoping we got one local media source that would actually pick us up. We got that, but that's what we really were hoping for, because we knew that if we opened up and went against the government and nobody saw it, they would just squash us. And then when everybody opened back up, we wouldn't be able to open up. We just look a bit like bad businessmen. And
I think that, no government official has reached out. I've shaken some hands with some people, and that's about it. And what it comes down to is these people who are in these elected positions, they make their choices very selfishly. They get into these positions of power, and what they're primarily interested in is a career in politics, staying in office as long as possible. So a lot of times they don't want to do anything controversial, which is kind of a joke, because if you didn't want to face controversy and you didn't want to face difficulty, then I don't know why you're in politics. You could have been a roofer or a school teacher or a grocery store clerk. We need people in power who are not afraid to stand up for what's right. And I think, especially when it comes to Governor Murphy or anybody who's opposed us, is they don't want to talk to us because I think that we surprised a lot of people. We might look like two dumb gym owners, but we've done our homework. And I would still, to this day, I'd invite Governor Murphy, Judith Persicelli at the health department, and any other official who's forced these lockdowns upon people. Put your public health policy on the table, and let's have an honest discussion about it. Because their public health policy is a weak and defensive one at best. Locking people in their homes, taking away every ounce of joy that people have, socially isolating people, leaving liquor stores and fast food places open, taking away places like gyms that promote health, taking away places like churches that promote sort of spiritual and mental health, and telling everybody to stay at home and disinfect the world around them, and then stay away from everything and don't touch anything. And just, that's not a public health policy. That's a defensive strategy at best. The best thing that they have to offer is a vaccine. And that's a rushed one at that, but let's talk about, if we want to talk about public health, let's talk about individual health. But they don't want to have these conversations because they know that their policy isn't going to hold up to any scrutiny. So they don't really talk about it. They give their press conferences and they do their little song and dance at the bare minimum with what they have to kind of keep the public, I guess, informed. But they don't actually talk details. They don't actually talk science and data. So it doesn't surprise me that none of them have reached out, because they know that they're going to get eaten alive if they talk to anybody who's even done a little bit of homework. And I'm no scientist. I've been in the fitness industry for 11 years. Frank's been around for about 25, and we're not doctors, but common sense and just a little bit of basic education about how the body works will blow giant holes in any policy that they have. And I think that they know that.
At this point, you guys have talked a lot about some of the things that they've done to try to shut you down. Have they done anything else that's just been pretty shady? Just like that you wouldn't have expected?
They backed up our sewer system an hour after they said they were going to send the Board of Health after us.
Yes. The Wednesday that we originally reopened, which was May 20th.
May 20th at 1:47 in the afternoon during Governor Murphy's daily briefing. He says, since we can't arrest them, we'll have to have a smirk at the head of the state police said, we'll have to send the Board of Health to them. And I shit you not, literally, pardon the pun, an hour later, flushed the toilet and shit came up through the floor, and it only affected our building. And we have a big building here. There's other businesses. It only affected ours. They actually,
somebody tampered with it from the outside.
The whole sewer system from the inside, and everything came up through the floor. So it's,
we've had that. We've had our locks changed. We've had our doors boarded up. We've had threats from Antifa that they were going to burn our building down.
They didn't even hide who they were.
It was very, very publicly kind of put out. They said, we're going to come burn your building down next. We've had multiple sewer backups. We have people who do come in the facility and destroy our equipment. There's somebody who comes into our facility and very clearly cuts the cables on our machines. You name it. We've had.
I'd like to catch them.
We've had media campaigns.
I won't prosecute.
We've had media campaigns against us, particularly myself. We had this hack of a journalist come after me for being a white supremacist. You name it. They've kind of thrown it all at us, which nothing surprises us at this point. There was rumors that they were trying to shut down our water and our electric. And
going back to what we originally talked about with the fines and everything, the fact that they're actually trying to pierce the LLC, you open up an LLC to protect your personal. So they can't come after you. They're actually trying to make us personally responsible for all the fines. They're saying because Ian and I are the ones that kicked the boards in when they actually boarded us up, and the business didn't do that we did, and that's why they subpoenaed my financial records. I own another business called Rock Bottom Nutrition I've had for 25 years. They subpoenaed the financial records of that business. They financed the financial records of my wife, the financial records of his mom.
It's all about fear, and
that's dirty. That's just straight up dirty. When you have an LLC and you're supposed to be protected, and they don't care. It's just they're going to do whatever they have to do to try to win, because their goal at this point, we believe, is to actually bankrupt us personally. As far as finances go, mentally break us, and so we can't fight them later on. Because we can't get anywhere with them until we get to the federal system. So they want to keep watering it down and weighing us down with however you say, like tying cinder blocks to our asses and throwing us in the ocean, so we can't get out of the state court system because they just keep, delaying everything. And we have two of our summonses are classified as criminal. And because of that, we can't get into the federal system, while that's waiting. And on top of that, it's a joke that anybody that puts a class action lawsuit, even though we're the initial ones that actually started all the fight for everybody, we can't even have our names on a class action lawsuit because we have criminal charges against us. And they know that. It's an absolute joke. So it's like anybody thinks this is about money. They're insane, though. They need to show me where that is. I'll train. We lived here for 32 straight days. I went home 5 times in 37 days. Yeah. It's like, and we're prepared to do that right now because we believe that there's going to be so much civil unrest that we're prepared to actually be back here again. Back then we did it because they said they were going to actually change the locks on their doors. So we took the fucking doors off. You can't change the locks on the doors if I ain't got no doors. So we were here. We opened up 24 hours a day. Seriously, we took the doors off the premises, and that's why they had to build a barrier. It's just, but those are the type of dirty things that they've done. But you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is, and we're up for it. And we've gained a lot of support from so many people that we didn't know. There's a lot of hatred too, but I laugh at them at this point. with the hatred, because it's like, okay, we're day 232 now. Not that I'm fucking counting, but like you guys asked for 14 and we're on day 232, and you're telling me to wear a fucking mask. You can kiss my ass, comply. Seriously, it's just, what are you waiting for? Like, what business is literally, we get people that have said to us, you're businessmen, you should be prepared for this. Like, who the fuck is prepared to be closed down for any period of time, and you got to pay all your bills? You're not allowed to make any money. You got to pay all your bills. It's insane.
We laugh at it at this point, but what we liken it to is like a 12-round fight in a Rocky movie, where you go against the government, or you go against a big corporation like this, and you're gonna lose rounds 1 through 11. You're gonna get your face smashed in over and over and over again, and that's by design, because they know that if we get to round 12, where we get in front of the Supreme Court, or we get in front of one of the higher federal courts, in front of a judge who does have respect for the Constitution and does have respect for the principles of this country, that this case is going to get smacked down very quickly. So they're going to do everything in their power to take you out. And that's, like I said, that's all the things that we just listed. They're going to try to break you down in every way. They're going to try to scare you. They've threatened us with prison sentences, the fines. You've heard it all. But that's, the main objective is to stay on our feet and continue the fight at all costs. This is, I've said this 1,000 times, and it's not to be a tough guy or anything like that, but if you're going to destroy my life, you're going to have to absolutely destroy me first. We're not just going to give this up. And I'm okay with that at this point. If this is the hill that we die on, this is the hill that we die on.
And then that story of Joe Logue that we told you about, it's extremely humbling. And that story even got deeper because there was a Sunday about 2 months ago that an old man came in, and he waited 20 minutes to talk to me. I was talking to somebody else, and it turns out it was Joe Logue's dad, and he wanted to thank us for saving his son's life. And we have 100 other people
that's what keeps us in the fight.
Who have thanked us for saving their life. People that are type 1 diabetics, that are supposed to be the highest risk, that actually come in here every day because they need it for their health. People that either were obese or are obese, that lost a lot of weight, that they need it for their mental clarity. People that are recovering drug addicts, that this is their only safe haven. I've lost a friend during this time, who couldn't, make any money, and couldn't work and everything like that. And he passed away, and 4 days before his 50th birthday. And, we have hundreds of those stories, it's like, I'm a fighter. I mean, I fought for fun, I didn't fight professionally, but I fought, amateur wise up to the world championship level until I was 40 years old. And you're going to have to fucking, you're going to have to whoop my fucking ass and kill me to get me to stop. Seriously. And it's just,
that's it.
We jokingly say the 2 dumb gym owners, but I think that's been our advantage in this. Is they thought that's what we were, and then we spoke and they realized, fuck, they don't just pick things up and put them down. They actually pick them up and read them. It's seriously, it's like they just thought we were 2 dumb gym owners. And I tell you, I guarantee we've done homework, and I've done enough homework for a lifetime. On this, I could be a lawyer about all this stuff at this point. And we're prepared to answer every question that anybody could ask us about any situation that's going on. And it's a job we decided that we were going to do. And when we first started this, I told Ian, it's like, they're going to get dirty. I said we got to be okay with everything we've done in our lives, because they're going to turn our lives into glass houses, and our families' lives into glass houses, and you got to be okay with that. And this man, he's had some things in his past. I've had some things in my past. There's nobody else I'd rather be fighting this with, because he got, I thanked his mom one day, and she's like, for what? I said, because you got a son that's got the biggest set of balls compared to me. It's like, there aren't many of them, seriously. And it's just, there aren't many people that would have done this with me. And it's just, I just, every day when I see how many people are just sheep still. It's just like 232 days later, and they're telling us to comply. And I mean, grown ass fucking men, bitching. Come on, you just go out and, do something about it. It's just quit being a keyboard warrior, those type of things, and get out there and,
stand up for yourself.
Stand up for your right. And stand up for everybody.
At the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about standing up for yourself, and when it gets tough, not backing down. And that's it. That's what the American spirit is about. And you know, there's been men before us I think in all of our bloodlines that have done bigger and better things and stood in the face of greater adversity. And I think that's what is lacking a lot in our society today is conviction to follow through. And you could lay this out 1,000 times and give us the choice to do it every time, and knowing everything that's happened, I would say yes every time.
It's mind-boggling to me that Governor Murphy and some of the other officials, that they view you guys as like a threat. You know, they view you guys as a public health. You guys are, you mentioned some people are saying you guys are murderers, or you're trying to have people, get COVID or whatever. So you guys are a major problem in your city, state, right? It doesn't make any sense at all that somebody doesn't come to you guys and have some sort of conversation. I think to me, that's absolutely ludicrous. Like if the governor is mentioning you guys by name, in front of the press, but he's not coming to meet you guys or sending somebody to come meet you guys, I find that to be really disappointing, honestly, because
they know that we'll embarrass them.
Right.
From day one, they use the terminology. Every day when he had his meetings, he would say, data and science gives us dates. Data and science gives us dates. I mean, we've challenged them. I've asked for, just 1-on-1, 2-on-2, me and Ian, him and Colonel Callahan. Let's have a debate. No paperwork, no nothing. The people in the media gets to ask the questions, and winner take all. When I say winner take all, and this is literally, I've literally proposed this to Governor Murphy. Winner take all is, if you win if people say you win the debate, the media says you win the debate, I will shut my gym down forever, and you'll never fucking hear from me again. But when I win the debate, you open up everything. You don't just open up my gym, all gyms, all bars, all salons, all all movie theaters. Everything.
What's really crazy is they've said they make these statements, and because they're elected officials, they want everybody to just take it on faith. Just because you're an elected official and you say something doesn't make it a fact. You still have to provide evidence, and we've asked for it over and over and over again. One of our mottos somewhere in this was no science, no shutdown. Show us that small businesses are the villains that you've made them out to be. All these politicians have said, small business, but in reality, what's happened, especially here in New Jersey, is, we have 60% of the deaths happening in long-term care facilities that are under the direct supervision of the same people that are pointing the finger at small businesses like ours and saying, you guys are the threat. You guys are causing the spread. And we just ask for the information. Show us. If you can show us that our facility or a hair salon or indoor dining or whatever it is, show us that that's any more of a threat to society than public transportation being open at 100%, or Walmart being open. Show us that the things that you have open are safer than the things that you have stayed closed, and we'll stay shut down. And they haven't, and that right there is more than enough evidence to show that this stinks of just corruption and illegitimacy.
And the public transportation one, to me, leads me to believe that they want to spread the virus, not stop the virus, because they want to keep the shutdown. And I use that, in saying that they talk about gyms are a indoor space. That's why they're difficult. Restaurants are indoor spaces. Yeah, indoor spaces are difficult. They lack ventilation. They're confined spaces. Well, a New Jersey Transit bus is 40 feet long and 102 inches wide. That's 340 square feet on the outside. At 100% capacity, they're allowed to have 60 passengers and a driver. Okay, people get on there, and I'm going to use the finger fuck again. But when you walk on a bus, you finger fuck every seat on the way in. You finger fuck every seat on the way out. Nobody's sanitizing. Nobody's doing anything behind you and everything. They're not doing anything for contact tracing. They don't have you fill out paperwork to know who was on the bus. So in the end, they keep telling, if you have symptoms, go get tested. Well, if I take public transportation, that means if I feel sick, I'm getting on a bus with possibly 60 other people. They don't know that I'm sick. They're going to drop me off at the hospital to get my COVID test. And when I get found that I'm COVID positive, they have no idea how many people I just actually infected on the bus. So to me, it's, okay, show me the science that says that's safe, and I'll shut my gym down. But I know they don't have the science, so I'm going to stay open, and I'm going to keep fighting. I'm, fully believe that they are afraid that they will be embarrassed if they actually had to, because if they have a meeting with us, there's going to be cameras, and they will be embarrassed, because we've done our homework and they don't have the answers to the questions that we have. They really don't. And they know that. And that's why none of them will reach out. Not to say they just push it down. It's like Governor Murphy made the mayor of Bellmawr and the town council take our business license away. And it's shame on them, because Bellmawr should have, just had the balls to stand up, because now they have a lawsuit against them from us because they took our business license away with us not being found guilty of anything, not found, it's like we have committed no law. Like if we committed a crime and we broke the law, we'd be in jail. Bottom line is the only time we were arrested is because we refused to leave our building. It's just like, well, because we had taken the doors off, and they had orders, because we were found in contempt of court, orders to actually change the locks on the doors. You can't change the locks if I ain't got no fucking doors. So that's the only time we were arrested. So think about that. If we broke the law, why the hell aren't we in jail? Okay, plain and simple, because we didn't break the law. And they know that, and they're doing everything they can to break us down and make other people hate us. And that's their entire goal, is to make us look bad. And they haven't been able to do it. I mean, there's been some bad days, don't get me wrong. But in general, it's just like, we got 600 people a day coming through here for a reason, and it's, people, we still have paper covering the windows. And people say, media asked me back in August, why do you still have paper on the windows? What are you hiding? And I'm serious when I said it. I said, I'm hiding outside. Ian and I will not give in to the new norm. There is no new norm. And inside our gym is the most normal place on earth. Forget the safest place on earth. It's the most normal place on earth. Nobody's afraid in here. Nobody has fear in here. So whether you're in here for 20 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, or you live here half the time like we do, you know what? When you see outside, that's where the fear is. Everybody's scared. They're walking around in masks. It's like, no, it's not a safe place for most people in their brain. It's just, I believe it's safe out there, but, it's like people are mentally, dissuaded and just feel horrible about their life and everything when they're out there. And I don't want them to see outside. And it's like, even our landlord said, it looks ghetto. I said, I don't give a fuck. Stop looking at it. Seriously. It's just like, but it's just, I'm not taking it down, and we may end up blocking the windows forever. But seriously, it's just, it's the greatest feeling. Like, everybody just come and visit. We've, when Dan Bongino was here, so much energy. It's like, it just such normalcy of being able to walk through the door.
It feels really good to provide that place for people too.
And so many people have come through the door and they're like, wow, this was awesome. It's just like, and they come in nervous at first when it's their first time and they got masks on and stuff. And then they look at me and say, do I got to wear a mask? I say, I don't have a mask on. Why the fuck you got to wear a mask? It's just, and it's funny.
They rip those masks off so fast.
It's normal here.
It does. And it feels really good to provide that kind of place for people, even if it's only for an hour a day, even if they're going elsewhere and they're putting masks on. And a lot of people have to wear them while they're at work. And that's, we take a lot of pride in that this is a lot of people's kind of like safe haven from just the craziness that's been going on. So, and that's yet another thing that we draw strength from.
At the beginning of the episode, you guys were mentioning how there's a lot of fear mongering going on, but you also mentioned how you feel that there's like some type of agenda that's happening. So I was curious as to what you mean by that. What do you think is like a deeper thing that may be going on here that might be bigger than just them just trying to shut down your business?
I think that there's a much larger agenda at play that COVID is just one kind of smaller aspect of. You've seen over the past 60 years this sort of push towards a globalist mindset. And in order to have that globalist mindset, you kind of have to you have to be able to break down the concepts of individuality and individualism, which is one of the things that this country is founded on. Among with other principles, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, equality among all men and women. And I think that this is an attempt to kind of break down the middle class, because in this country we have the beautiful phenomena of really good social mobility. Not everybody's starts at the same place, but there are opportunities for everybody, regardless of where you start. And if you do the right thing and if you work really hard, chances are you're going to wind up in a better place than where you started. And in order to construct a very powerful government entity, you do have to kind of take people's kneecaps out. And destroy that social mobility, and you have to make people dependent upon the government. And we've seen little by little over the past 70 years, government grow in size and in power. And there's been a push towards a more socialist government, where people become more and more dependent upon government for taking care of every part of their life, and that's very anti-American. And by no means am I against having social safety nets. I think that there should be things like social welfare and stuff when it is needed, but I don't think that a majority of the population should be relying on government for their food, for their health care, for their education. I think that that's an individual responsibility, and that's what makes this country great, is that you are what you make yourself to be. But when you want the control on a higher level, you can't have people be independent and have people be strong. So by taking out the middle class, by taking out specifically small business, you destroy a very, very strong and independent part of this country.
And on top of that, you take away tons of jobs.
Yes, we
all lose our jobs, and then people don't have them. We don't have jobs for people.
You take away the jobs, and you take away people's financial freedom, and then they're dependent upon you for that. Small business. One of the beautiful things about small business is that it keeps communities alive and thriving. We live close to the area. Just use our gym for example. The money that comes in here, it pays our employees, whatever, it pays our bills, it pays Frank and I. That money circulates throughout the community. We go down to the local bar and have a drink. We go shop at the local grocery store. We go to the local hair salon. And that money transfers from person to person within the community, and it helps the community stay alive and thrive. Every small business that shuts down, that business and that money that would typically circulate through that typically goes off to the corporation. So the local grocery store, or say we shut down. The people that would come here and pay us now go to a big chain gym. And that big chain gym, when you hand them, your money, or, they take the money out of your bank account, that money doesn't circulate back into the surrounding community. It goes up the food chain throughout that big corporation, and it winds up in the pockets of executives. It winds up in the pockets of lobbyists. It doesn't return to the town of Bellmawr. And you've seen that throughout history. I mean, you've seen it where industries fall apart. We're right next to Camden. Camden's a perfect example of a once thriving community that was full of small businesses and full of industry. And eventually all of the business left, and the community falls apart around it because none of the money that's being spent in the community returns to the community. It goes elsewhere. It goes into the elite's hands. It goes into the powerful, the corporations, whatever you want to call it, the 1%. And I think that's a big part of the agenda at play, is crushing small business, because all of these big corporations have been allowed to stay open. And they've not only been allowed to stay open, they've thrived at unprecedented rates. I mean, Walmart increased their sales by 100%. Jeff Bezos got, I think $10 billion richer, or some odd thing like that. That $10 billion would normally be circulating through the lower and middle levels of the economy. and it's not, and it doesn't return, or it's very, very slow to return, or a very small amount of it returns. And if that happens enough, there won't be a middle class. There will be the haves and the have-nots. And you see that in other countries around the world. You know, I've traveled to Brazil, and you see that there is no middle class in Brazil, or it's very, very small. Either you're one of the wealthy or you're one of the have-nots. And then what happens is you have a whole bunch of have-nots who now just become dependent upon the government. And you've lost all individuality. You've lost all ability for social mobility moving upwards, because you're stuck at the bottom, because you can't start your own business. You can't acquire your own wealth.
And even if
can't
you do,
build it.
I truly believe that they're trying to go to a socialist, world. And as far as that goes, and even if you do start your own business and you survive, like if they go to socialism and us as a gym survive, they're going to say, well, you can only make this much money anyway. That's what it is. That's why businesses, have left Sweden and those type of things, because it's a great looking country, but so you can't, do anything for yourself there and better yourself. And if they shut down the entire middle class and everything like that and make people dependent upon them, the most important thing is they get control. Okay, because that's how they get control of you and say, okay, well, if you want your money, if you want your free healthcare, you want your free education, well, you're going to have to get your kids vaccinated. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. And who wants to do that? I mean, it's just, these vaccinations that they're forcing to come real quick. I mean, it's just, I've always laughed about vaccination. I'm not anti-vax, but I'm not for vax, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, I've always laughed at the fact, okay, how can you possibly have the vaccine for this year's flu virus if it changes every year? Don't you have to know what the fucking strain is in order to make it? Like, that's an oxymoron. They're actually, it's a way of controlling. I believe that it's population control. Australia has just passed the digital vaccine. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Nope. Actually, and it's just when you look at that, it's like Bill Gates owns the technology, which is nanotechnology, that are putting it in a digital, vaccine, and they're actually pushing it towards the Australians. It's a good thing, because when you go to the doctors, they won't even have to have you fill out paperwork, because they'll know everything about you, where you've been and everything, because they're tracking you. It's insanity. And if you want to know what I truly believe the end game is that, and I wasn't political before this started, at all. And I'm an American. I always joke that actually I thought blue states were bordered by water and red states weren't. It's just like that's as much as I gave a damn about it.
That's the truth.
That's how little I cared about politics. But now it's like, this is what they're trying to do. I mean, just the fact that Biden says that he's going to require masks. Okay, Fauci, who's a guy that they listen to, in 2008, he co-authored a report that actually, and the report was actually based on the cause of the excessive deaths in all influenza pandemics throughout the world, throughout history. And in his own words, he said that actually most of the people died from a secondary bacteria, primarily, bacterial pneumonia, caused from wearing masks. And they actually said that they truly believe that almost all of those people would have died, that there would have been zero excessive deaths, which is excessive deaths is deaths that actually go above and beyond the normal deaths that would occur in a given period of time throughout that same society. And that if they did not have the presence of that secondary bacteria, they believe all of those people would have lived. That is Fauci saying that. Now Fauci's telling you to wear a mask.
Yeah,
which is it? It's insane. You put the mask on, you're going to grow bacteria and pneumonia. I mean, they have said 85% of the people that actually have gotten COVID wore masks. 71% of them wore masks all the time. That is insane. Yes. As far as that goes. But yeah, we don't wear masks. And 64,768 people have come through here since June 16th, and we don't have a single COVID case. Weird. And it's like, which means that they don't have bacterial pneumonia. They don't have all these secondary things. So I believe that their end game is trying to destroy us, and they need to, I truly believe that they, I call it the plandemic instead of the scamdemic or the pandemic, because it was a very good plan. And, it's like part of that plan, if you're trying to create a social society, is you have to weaken the society. So if you close the gyms down and you close the actual churches down, the two places where people are going to be able to build their immune system, build their mental strength, their physical strength, then you're going to weaken them. And then on top of that, you give people who actually need money. Usually the people that are going to fight the hardest is a hungry dog, because a hungry dog wants to eat. So they gave $600 a week for free. They gave a $1,200 stimulus check. They gave you an extra $500 for each kid that you had. And then you gave you an extra $600 a week for free for 16 weeks. Well, now those people that actually were hungry before are fat and happy. And they're passing out on the fucking couch from eating too much. Their cupboard's full. And when it comes down to where we want to fight as the middle class, they're not going to want to fight. They're going to be like, yo, what are you guys doing? They've been taking care of us. Yeah. Now they're going to vote on that side of it. They're not willing to fight anymore because they were taken care of. That's a perfect example of actually introducing, that socialism world and Marxism world to them, because they're relying on them. They say, well, wait a minute, they're going to take this shit away from us if we actually fight them. All of those people want that now. And that's what I'm saying a lot. And that's they want to destroy us all, and they want to control us. We're the bad seeds, apparently.
How has this negatively impacted your families? Has it been anything that's been, really tough, like any weird threats or people driving by your homes or anything crazy like that?
Personally, Frank and I have received quite a bit of threats. Like I said, Antifa burning down the building, whatever. It's been really hard on our loved ones. It's been hard on Frank and I, but we chose to fight. Our loved ones got dragged into it because they love us, and they are going to stand by us regardless. Frank's married and has 5 kids. I have a girlfriend, and she has a son that lives with us. And, we've been completely absent in our own homes for long periods of time. Even when we go home, we're here 7 days a week, no less than 12 hours a day, every single day. And we've been doing that for 8 months straight. So it's tough. And we're extremely thankful that we have the people that love us in our lives, because they pick up the slack, where we, Frank was joking the other day. He said, man, when you're not home a lot, that honey to-do list gets really long. And it's rough, and they do their best, and they have their moments where, it's really hard for them. But they believe in us. So we fight, and we fight for them too, so it is what it is.
I personally have put security in my house for the first time ever. I always laugh. I think if they come in here, they got to good luck, as far as that goes. But, it's just, I can't be there all the time, and you don't know who's coming. So it's like, I literally put security cameras around my house, and I never did before. I think it's a violation of my privacy. And, if you put security cameras, somebody can tap into them. I always know, it's just like I never felt comfortable with that. Like I'm the idiot that doesn't even have Easy Pass because I don't, Uncle Sam don't need to know where the fuck I am. It's another way of tracking you, seriously. And I just, it's changing. It's like, I have an 18, my 18-year-old son has my name. And it affected him a little bit at the very beginning because people would go after him because of his name. And I had to, he wanted to fight for me, and I had to explain to him that, you can't do that, as far as that goes. It's just because they're just looking for us to say something wrong or do something wrong and use it against us. And that's, it's hard to get across to an 18-year-old who just wants to, prove to his dad that, hey, I can do this too. And, it's just, and it's not his fight. We got 2 15-year-olds, 18 and 19 and a 21-year-old. And, my wife's a nurse. So it's like you said earlier about the legacy behind, it's just like, no matter what, I can lay my head down when I do. I don't sleep much, but, and I know that I've done the right thing to represent them and to represent what's right and what you're supposed to do. As far as that goes, it's like no matter what, even if in the end we lose, the war, we win because we stood up. Nobody can ever say to us that, you gave up, you weren't willing to fight for what you thought was right, so, it's like the scariest moments of this whole situation for me right now is right now. And that sounds weird, but I'm scared as fuck that somehow Biden's going to become president. And it's just like, because that's going to create an all-out war, because I will not shut down, and he's already said he's going to shut the country down. He's going to make everybody wear masks, so that's going to create a civil war if he gets in. And that's, and I'm more afraid of that than anything else. Like on day 2, when this whole thing happened and the media went absolutely crazy on us, going back to May 19th, the day my mother died, the media said, "Are you afraid?" I said, "Hell yeah, I'm afraid, but I'm more afraid to sit down because I want my kids to have rights. I want to be a pop-up, It's just like, I want to be able to have, a normal, an elderly person's life. I want my kids to have rights. I want their kids to have rights. And if I don't stand up now, it's like, who's going to stand up for us? It's like, and I'm thankful they got Ian standing beside me because there's no way in hell one person could do this by themselves. I mean, they're really not, it's like, it's just, you got to have teamwork, it's like, the corny thing, everybody says teamwork makes the dream work, but it really does. Cause you really need, another set of eyes, another brain, and you're not always going to see eye to eye. And you're going to have arguments and stuff like that, but that's what makes the whole thing better. But I think what we've stood up for and the support that we've gotten from people we know and people we have no freaking clue who they are, just beautiful people throughout the world who have sent us poems, pictures, letters of thankfulness, and 93-year-old veterans that actually wish that they could come here and fight with us, and 83-year-old widow who says that her husband is in his grave fighting with you. If he was alive today, that he would be here fighting with us. It's like we have so many letters and things like that we can always, if you're having a bad day, you go back and you look at that and you realize, that you're not just even fighting for the people that walking in your gym and you communicate with every day and the people you go home to. You're fighting for everybody out there. And there's a lot of people out there that we're blessed with because of the attention we got through the media, and we're very, very blessed that, our message was shared by a lot of people, and it's impacted a lot of people, and it's part of what gives us even more strength every single day because we know that we're not just fighting locally, we're fighting for everybody.
Where can people show their support to get your t-shirts and stuff like that?
So the easiest, and we say this to a lot of people always ask for like the GoFundMe and stuff, and as much as the donations help, the sharing of the story is probably one of the most powerful ways, so people watching this podcast, share the podcast.
Yeah.
Follow us on like that plug there. Follow us on social media. A lot of the updates are on my personal social media. That's Ian Smith Fitness or Atilis Gym Bellmawr. We try to keep updated as much as possible. Those are Instagram. But you can find the links to everything on those. We have a website, it's theatilisgym.com. There's a store with a whole bunch of different merchandise there. And if you want to help out by going to our GoFundMe, that link is in my Instagram as well. You can Google it, Atilis Bellmawr Court Relief. There are a couple fake ones out there, so we always tell people to be careful. Ours has a picture of one of our members being arrested, so that's how you differentiate.
And back to what I'm saying, to share the story. To us, the biggest way that everybody can help in the long run is to support small business. Fuck big box, and don't forget about this because 9/11 happened, and a year later everybody forgot about it. Went back to normal life, and we became vulnerable again. Once this is all over, they'll do it again. If they can do it once, they'll do it, again. And,
they'll try it again.
And they'll try again. And we have to remember that they've done this. It's like, support your local guy, even if it's a little bit more money. Those type of things, it's going to save your community. Like Ian was talking about how the big box takes the money away from the communities they're in and actually gives it to their lobbyists to go up and it goes up to the politicians so they can get, what they want out of life. But just by supporting small business and sharing the story and just remembering that if you rely on somebody, and there's tons of people out there that they somehow believe in this socialist world, and they say if you rely on somebody to feed you, eventually they'll starve you. And it's just like if they don't get what they want, it's like, and that's what I'm afraid is going to happen in this world. It's just like there's so many sheep. out there that are just comply. It's just like, they're most of them are the people that either they weren't affected by it, because they either somehow were lucky enough to have a position that was deemed essential and nobody in their family was affected by it, or they just don't care. They got the extra money and stuff like that, and they're okay with that. It's just like, and that's unacceptable to me as far as that goes. We all gotta fight for what we want, and it's just like, and don't let other people, knock you down. If, it's like, if we don't have the same values, that doesn't mean we have to hate each other. As far as that goes. And that's the biggest thing I've learned through this. It's like we had people that hated us to begin with, that literally, thought we were murderers and killers and selfish and, white, that actually have come in and actually, bought merchandise from us and said, holy crap, it's just like, and they've admitted it, that they talked shit about us online, they did all this stuff. But as the more they watched the story, they realized it wasn't about opening up a gym. And that's what, it's our beautiful thing has been, it's just, the people that realize that, and when you can change their mind, it's good, because there's a lot of people out there that don't care to try to educate themselves on any situation, let alone a serious situation. And that's the biggest thing that's helped me through all this is, all those people that do realize it's not about opening up a gym. It's about, I want, my wife on her day off from being a nurse, if she wants to go get her hair done, she should be able to go get her hair done. It's just like, if you worked a hard day and you want to go to this, to the bar and have a drink and watch a ball game, it's just like, and tell the guy next to you to shut the fuck up because he's talking too much. It's like, that's normalcy. We all deserve that. And it's not about a gym. It's about getting normalcy back in our lives and doing those things that make us, proud human beings. And it's just, but it takes everybody. Everybody's got to work at it, and don't let people, talk you out of it. Just keep fighting for what you believe is right. And, and I truly believe that if you go about it the right way, in the end, it's just, you'll win. And I believe we'll win in the end. It's just a long ways to go. We just got to keep fighting.
With everything that's going on right now, you guys getting fined every single day. Do you guys see any light at the end of the tunnel with any type?
Yeah, but it's a train. It's a train coming our way. We don't see anything. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, we're prepared for the long haul on this fight. We realize even with the gyms being open in the state, we have a very long road ahead of us through the court system and stuff like that. And we know that we'll get there, and we know that we have the tenacity and the grit to kind of get there. But right now, we're still very much in the middle of it. And it's just one foot in front of the other, step by step, head down, you keep your formation tight, and that's it. And we'll get there. And when we do, we'll be thankful that we took this fight up.
And we got a lot of support there with us. It's like when, because we haven't had the threat of them actually barricading us and completely locking us out for the last couple months, because we teamed up with Rick Maida. We tried to use everything we can to actually use it against us. So Rick Maida was running for Senate. He was a Republican, nominee for Senate. So we made this his rally house. So because it was a political rally house, they couldn't do anything to us during that time except for fine us. So now that the election's over, we'll probably be back to living here with the threat of they're going to actually, take the, lock us out, arrest us, and detain us. They don't just want to arrest us; they want to detain us. They use those words, in it. But we have a lot of people that are willing to get arrested with us at this point. It is what it is. We're not going to give in to their crap, and because they're not laws. I mean, we haven't broken any laws, and and it's just like when I first started this, I promised my wife I wouldn't do anything that I knew was illegal at the time I did it. It was criminal, as far as that goes. And, we've stuck by that. Even when we kicked the doors in, it's just like we kicked the doors and technically we're in violation of, being found in contempt of court. But bottom line, we were found in contempt of court. We're, being in violation of the executive order, which is not a law. It's a mandatory request. So I still don't believe any of that is criminal. And we're trying to do everything we can to be that way, and it's not easy, especially when you have the threat of violence coming at you. We know that there's going to be, civil unrest, no matter what happens in this election. And it's just like, how do you protect yourself safely? and protect your property safely and stuff like that. That's where it's, when you ask if there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that's why I say a training, because we figure something's coming after us. It's New Jersey today let out 2,088 prisoners out of jail, and they used COVID for thing, and all 2,088 of them they let out today. They also get the $1,200 stimulus check, and I know people that have been working every day their whole life and never got their stimulus check. So these people got their stimulus check. They were allowed to vote last week. They got out early because of COVID. And our argument to the governor was, you said face mask work. Face mask work. Give them to the fucking prisoners. What the fuck? It makes no sense. But seriously, they let out 2,088 prisoners, and between now and January 21st, they're letting out another 1,000. And 10 of them are actually considered the top 100 most violent criminals in the state of New Jersey. And I know that directly from people who actually run the actual correction facilities, and they are shocked that these people are going to be getting out of jail. And I believe they're doing this so they can, with an agreement that they're going to go out there and fight on the front line instead of these bitches that show up for Antifa. It's when we jokingly say bunker down, it's just like, and we got to be ready, because we got to be on the top 10 most wanted list, in Jersey and those type of things. So we figure in the end we're a target. And it's just like, because we've embarrassed, the governor, because we proved that his science was bullshit, as far as that goes. And no matter what he's done to us, Ian and I have been willing to keep standing back up. It's just like, as Ian said, it's just like, it's like it's a fight, it's just, you only have to win the last battle to win the war, plain and simple. And that's our goal. We're prepared to lose every battle along the way. But when we win that last one, we're going to win the war. And it's just, and we have a lot of support to get us there.
Thank you guys so much for your time today. What a incredible story, and keep kicking ass. I'm not going to tell you to hang in there, because I already know that you will. But just keep kicking ass, and I'm blown away. I think it's really incredible what you guys are doing, and I think you're also not just, like you guys said earlier, you're not just doing it for yourselves. There's a lot of other people that are looking in on this story, and it's a great story. It's a great thing for other people to follow and to utilize that in their own lives. So thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Stop by sometime. Get a workout in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're ever in New Jersey, doors always open.
I end up there sometimes, unfortunately.
It's a pretty good atmosphere.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.
Too.
Damn, those guys were great.
Yeah, they were.
That was awesome.
God.
I don't know about you guys, but I ain't fucking with Frank. I mean, I'm not fucking with either one of them, but
Nope.
I ain't messing with Frank.
You don't. You don't.
I don't think he really messes around much.
$15,000 a day, man.
Yeah, over $500,000 for a year.
It's crazy though. Like, I didn't even realize that they weren't charging their members.
That's sick.
Like,
I know.
nothing. That's amazing. Everything's donations, shirt sales, GoFundMe. It's amazing what they're doing, and I think more people are going to help them
They just said so much. I mean, like, you're a government official, and there's something going on in your area that you deem as being really reckless or really bad, and you don't communicate with someone else to go and talk to these people and have some conversation. I do realize that, we kind of project and we say, okay, well, they're on that side of it and we're on this side of it, so it doesn't make any sense for us to go. We'll just find them. But I think it's always helpful to be able to put a name to the face and to be able to have a conversation face to face. And even if you went in there and you were a little rough and said, hey, look, you know what? We're going to fine you every day because you're in violation of this, this, and this. And this is why Walmart's allowed to be open. This is, you just state your case, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do think there's a problem with not addressing it at all. Like that's like, it's like I said, it's really disappointing, like that this is our government. That's why I really hate with politicians. I don't think we should ever use the word leader for any of them. They are kind of selecting, what they're doing. They're going after a particular position. And just like he mentioned, they have to like not really disrupt too much stuff in order to get ahead, and in order to stick around. They have to kind of like play a game. And to me, that's not any leader that I would want to follow. You know, leaders are created over like a long period of time, but you're not just a leader because you decided to be a government official. You know, it's something you have to really work at. And I just think that it's I think that people keep using that word, and it's like, why are you waiting for anybody to lead you anywhere? Like, this is an amazing country. You have opportunity to do a lot of different things. And not everyone has the same exact opportunities, but over a period of time, everyone can work towards getting those opportunities. And it might take somebody a lot longer than somebody else. We see that happen all the time. But, you know, I just think, you know, trying to rely on someone else is not a great idea. I love that line that he said about, you know, when you're taking something from somebody, when somebody's giving you something, when they feed you, they're eventually going to starve you. And it's like, whoa. And that's, you know, the stimulus packages, you know, there's just a lot of shit like that where you need to be really cautious. Those things are in place because we're empathetic for people. There are people in compromising positions that sometimes need more finances. They sometimes need more things to keep their family going, to keep their families alive. Mm-hmm. There's just so many different circumstances. So we need those things sometimes, but, you know, leaning on that or, you know, trying to rely on the government to do or be anything for you, I think is a giant mistake.
Yeah. I mean, there was a thought I had in terms of anybody that really wants to make a change. Like, people think about getting into politics, but it's like the things you have to do, the things you have to consistently overlook that you know are wrong, right? So you can play that game and get ahead. It's just, that's why people were in such favor of Trump, because he didn't play that game. He was just a businessman that got himself up there. I mean, yeah, maybe his family was rich or whatever, but it doesn't matter. He was a businessman that didn't play that game. He was a straight shot. There wasn't anything there. He's up front, right? So it's just, especially seeing what's going on with them, it's like, it's insane. It's insane to hear. And then the ways that they're also like trying to just hijack the gym. Like, right. You know, the toilet thing that they did, or the sewer system thing, just all these different ways that they're literally just trying to hijack a small business. It's something you just can't wrap your head around, that it's literally happening. Right.
All the diligence those guys went through. I mean, how many different things did you list out?
Oh yeah.
But they did. The cool thing is like, you know, those guys both think it's bullshit to do any of it, really. You know, they both aren't. I mean, some of the numbers they reported and some of the stuff that we've even heard from the CDC and some of these things, there is a virus out there. It can be deadly for a small subset of the population. But other than that, there ain't shit to worry about. And I think that the more that people recognize, like, people need to get it. Like, in order to get through this, you need to get it. So they keep reporting on these numbers and they keep telling you how many people have had it. Every time you see that, you should be pumped. You should be like, that's awesome. Oh, 500 more people got it in my area. That's fucking awesome. Because now we're going to be able to get through this faster. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to be able to be immune to it quicker. And so I think perspective is huge. And these guys have great perspective. You know, when he's talking about putting the paper up to block everything, you know, people are thinking that they're really trying to block people from looking in, but he doesn't want to see out. I like that a lot. Because he's like, we're in our spot, we're in like our home, and it's not so much about people looking in. It's about, we're just trying to block everything out that's out there, so that we have our own normal inside these walls.
Yeah, no, the things that they were mentioning about the masks too, in terms of their gym members not wearing masks, and we had Ivor Cummins on too. It's crazy because when you really do think about wearing a mask, especially if you're doing a lot of walking, a lot of working, you're breathing into this one thing that's on top of your face consistently, like. It visually it might make sense, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't make much sense at all.
It doesn't make much sense in accordance to everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
Like if they sometimes on the news, they're like, oh, we got to teach people, you know, about what to do. And it's like, they say social distancing, mask, and wash your hands. It's like, there's really not anything to be taught. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, you just said the 3 things that I need to do. And so keep my distance from somebody, put a mask on if I can't stay far enough away, and wash my hands. Like, there's not a real much to learn about that. I guess you could teach somebody how to wash your hands, how long to wash your hands, right? But they don't, I've mentioned this before on the show, like handles and stuff that you touch at the grocery store. Like, I haven't really heard, like, people aren't, when you walk into the grocery store, they should give you details on how you should shop. You know what I mean? Like, if this thing fucking matters that much, if people are really dying from it in these crazy numbers, and it's this deadly of a thing, first of all, we wouldn't be going to the grocery store. But secondly, when you did walk in, they'd say, "Hey, how's it going today, sir? Hey, here's our protocol." And they would tell you every time, because anytime you slip up, it could lead to somebody fucking dying. But that's not the case. That's not what's happening. People are glomming up their hands all over the different products because that's what you're used to. You put your hands on stuff to look at it, right? To feel it. And then I've made the mistake a bunch too, like where I pick something up and I put it back, and now I'm like, now what do I do? And then even like going to a coffee shop or something, I still end up touching like more stuff than I really need to. And I'm just trying to be, you're just trying to be alert and aware, mainly for other people. But yeah, you're like, fuck, I just touched that. And you see them wipe something down, but they don't wipe down the thing that you touch sometimes, and you're like, all right, well, I guess maybe that thing's immune to the coronavirus. So it's just, I love the fact that these guys have such a protocol in place, taking your temperature when you first walk in and all that different stuff. We didn't really get to ask them if they've had to turn, like, people probably have been pretty frustrated. Like, imagine you're all prepped for your workout. You drove 20 minutes, you're all hyped up, and your temperature is a little high.
Oh, they said they've had to turn a few people away.
That's got to suck. Yeah. But maybe they have, I don't know if they have any outdoor. That might have been another decent question to ask, anything outdoor. But I mean, that's got to be frustrating for that particular day or for that particular person. But they're doing a good job. What, 60,000 people through the door?
Yeah, 64,000 something. So I might be a little bit confused, but are big box gyms open in that area or no? Because big box gyms are open here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at the moment.
Should have asked them.
Yeah.
All right. It's just kind of weird that big box gyms are open all over California now.
Are they at like full capacity or whatever?
Not full capacity. People have to. They're like Planet Fitness. You have to like wait in line. They have a certain amount of people that can be in there working out. CalFit, everybody has everything set up outside, but at the end of the day, they're open, right? So like I was in my head, I was thinking, well, are they letting big box gyms open and smaller gyms not? Is that the deal that's going on right now? But who knows? Either way, just the fact that it's just crazy that liquor stores and all these types of places are allowed to do business and a health facility isn't.
Yeah, I think, because they're what they were getting at was because they're not wearing the masks and stuff, and they're not following. That's why they're getting targeted. Well, amongst many other things that they're getting targeted for. It was funny when dude was talking about when you do go to Walmart, how they have the empty bottle of sanitation wipes.
Yeah,
it's like, every once in a while it will be, it will have something in there, and there'll just be a long ass line trying to get in. It's like, hey, I'm just going to go this way.
And for me, I never touch any of that stuff. I don't use hand sanitizer. I barely wash my hands still. Like, I'm just a dirty motherfucker, I guess. But I've just never, I don't get sick. Five. Yeah. Hey, I don't get sick, like
that
if I take
the last podcast.
and our hands just touched and there's tons of poop on both hands. And we got poop all over the table.
It's in the air now.
Yeah. I mean, look, if I need to wash my hands, I'll wash them. But I shower sometimes twice a day. Pretty often, actually, I'll shower twice a day. And so I feel like I'm getting clean enough, So I don't know, I think a lot of it is just, it's kind of like in our mind of what's happened and what's happening. And I think that these ideas and concepts that have been brought forth of like, kind of like slowly, integrating back into whatever it was that we were doing before. I don't think it makes any sense, but everybody, not everybody else, but the government and a lot of people do think it makes sense, that this is the right way to do it. And it's just crazy that there's such varying differences of opinion. I don't mind complying with some of the rules and some of the different things to do. But But I also don't like people trying to tell me that they think a mask really works when there's just so much evidence either way. So I'm not going to deny that I'm not going to say that a mask doesn't work at all. I personally don't believe that it doesn't do shit, but that's my own belief, right? And sometimes your beliefs override science, or they override. I mean, somebody could tell you everything about evolution and you could still believe in your Bible, right? And you could still say, yeah, I believe some of that, but you're like, no, I have fucking proof, that this is the way this shit happened. And I can be like, that's cool, but I believe in Jesus. I believe in this. This is my. So sometimes your beliefs can overrun some of your decisions, and they can overrun even some real hard facts that come your way. But for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of the mask. But again, I will wear them. I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to say that. If someone brings me evidence of how they work, I'm going to look at that and say, okay. Well, there's a bunch of information over here that shows that they clearly do what they're supposed to do. And there's a bunch of information over here that clearly shows that they don't do what they're supposed to do. I'm going to pick a side since I think it's about 50-50, and I'm going to kind of stay over here a little bit more. But I'm also not going to act crazy if you ask me to wear a mask. The only time I might act a little crazy is if you tell me that the mask works, because I'm going to say, you know what? I don't know. It's like it's on both sides of the fence, and we've had people tell us to wear them and not to wear them, and it went back and forth a bunch, and we've been jerked around too many times. So it's like, I'm going to really choose just from here on out not to believe anything that you say. That other fear that they talked about shutting down again, that is the biggest. That's the biggest threat. That's the toughest thing to deal with.
Still, huh?
Yes. Just showing if what he's talking about, Biden wanting to shut everything down. And I don't know how accurate this stuff is, but I just Googled, election 2020.
Scroll down real quick.
Which Trump needs a field goal?
Yeah.
A 3-pointer.
It looks like he needs to go for 2 on this next one though. But he's currently, so it's 2:38 to 2:13 at the time of this recording.
Which is 9:50 a.m.
Ooh, we got to get you on another podcast.
Pacific time. Oh yeah, I got another podcast.
Mm-hmm. But man,
it's so close. It's scary. Huh?
Whoa! Didn't know what I just did.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens.
You just voted for Biden.
God damn it again!
Damn, you hit the wrong button.
I've registered in Wisconsin.
That's great.
15 times because apparently on Twitter it looks like it's fake, but like the total votes. Is like I'm going to butcher all the numbers, but we'll say 2 million was total registered, and then something like 2,500,000 actually registered.
Damn.
And then in Michigan there was
You mean actually voted?
What?
Wait, 2 million registered and 2 million.
I think it's fake, but that's just what's going around right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then like a drop off.
It's going to be some chaos going on.
Like a mail in. Like whatever package came in, and it was like 100% Biden, 0 for Trump. And someone's like, well, I mean, technically it's possible. Like, oh man, even that would be really tough. Yeah, we know. We're on schedule.
All right,
we're
Andrew,
still recording. Yeah.
Take us on out of here, dog.
I will. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. Huge shout out and thank you to Free Sleep for sponsoring today's episode. For more information on them, please check the links in the YouTube, Facebook, and podcast descriptions. I used some Free Sleep last night. There you go. Both elbows. And everybody's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? That's a PR. Like, my elbows hurt. My elbows always hurt. I've been lifting for a long ass time. Yeah. It's easy. I just grab it right out of the freezer, just chuck it on the arms. Boom. Done. Bam. No drip. No drip. It's cold, but it's not like, horrible to bear it. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I love it. So head over to freesleep.com at checkout, enter promo code POWER25 for 25% off your order and free domestic shipping. Please make sure you follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on Twitter. My Instagram is at I am Andrew Z. Nsima, where can people find you? And Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on Twitter. Mark? At Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. Catch y'all later.